peace, prosperity, and love, beautiful people. Welcome to Gracefully Imperfect, a podcast for the Black and African diaspora in material of socioeconomics, politics, religion, and so forth. The centrality of this podcast is immersive empathy, introspection, deep thought, soul-serving conversation, and communication, all in the light of unlocking the keys to vulnerability and transformation. During our time together, we will engage in topics related to mental and spiritual health experiences, the intersectionality of mental health and creativity, identity and culture, and any and all things related to healing from trauma, gathering insights, cultivating a deep sense of knowing, and repairing soul wounds. In the essence of communal love and collective consciousness, let us open our minds, lighten our hearts, settle our spirit, access soul intelligence, and affirm the richness of our humanity.
Peace, blessings, and revolutionary love, everybody. This is Brother Kyle, and we are back for another episode of Gracefully Imperfect. I'm so honored and so privileged to be here today, and I am so glad that we have been able to see our numbers for Gracefully Imperfect steadily increase even through this hiatus. That's saying a whole lot about how this platform is transforming, informing, and being a very helpful and valuable resource for those who are seeking to unlock the keys to vulnerability and transformation, one conversation at a time. So for all those who are new, all those who have been rocking with us, and all those who um, are getting this for the very first time or what have you, welcome, greetings, alafia. I wish you all nothing but great health, prosperity, peace, and tranquility through these dark, chaotic, and unpredictable times. The last time we were here together, we had the uh, the topic of the discussion or the episode title was "So Much Things to Say," and so we want to continue that because there is so much things to say. There's no question about that. And just a little update about what's going on over here in Gracefully Imperfect. We just celebrated getting our Master of Social Work just last month. And so that was a 2-year process um, from the time that we got out the military and we matriculated into the program. And we walked across the stage last month. It was quite beautiful. It was exciting. It was bittersweet. I was filled with so much emotion. I, I kind of vacillated between crying and smiling, and my kids were uh, totally into it. They were cheering from their seats. Their voice, their little voices were gone by the time at the end of the ceremony, but it was well worth it. We even took pictures to commemorate the moment and to really capture our family cohesion and family togetherness. And so I stand before you now with the Master of Social Work, and I'm very honored that the ancestors and divine consciousness and the Supreme Being has been directing my path towards spiritual growth and development increasing my political, economic, psychological, social, um, moral consciousness, and just having me do things now more intentionally and more deliberately rather than doing it for the sake of the accolade or for the sake of external validation. So, for all those who reached out on LinkedIn, Instagram, uh, yeah, big respect, love. Thank you so much. We are honored. But again, I didn't do this alone. My family village, my community village, were right there behind me, right there next to me. Sometimes they're in front of me, pulling me along. And so I would be remiss if I did not give them the proper respect and the proper admiration that they deserve. So another thing is that we're going to be um, doing a podcast collaboration with Revolutionary Podcast on Juneteenth. So in 2 days, because today is the 17th. And so in 2 days, we'll be doing the Juneteenth special with Revolutionary Podcast, social work, Revolutionary Social Work Podcast. It's going to be an early morning. I'm an early person. Um, and I don't want it to interfere with homeschooling education. So it's going to be 7 in the morning Mountain Standard Time, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. If there's any other time zones beyond that, I don't know that at the top of my head. So I say again, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. And if you need the link, I'm going to put it in the show notes so you can access that. And so you can be a part of the conversation. This is my first collaboration with Revolutionaries Social Work. And so I'm very ecstatic. They're doing a lot of great work in Alaska, and I can't wait for us to be in community with one another and bring some honest, vulnerable, and intimate conversation to the airwaves. Other than that, living. That's really what's been going on here. And so, as you can see, is that the title of this episode is "So Much Things to Say," Part 2. So much things to say, and again, there is. Um, I value stillness. Sometimes I wonder if the podcasting experience is for me, because even though that I do find value, true and deep value in interpersonal connection and public speaking and so forth. I don't always have anything to say. I really don't. I really don't have the wherewithal sometimes to just go out and put myself out there because there is so much information, so much knowledge, so many different situations that are shaping the perception in our interactions, in our relations to reality. And I've always was taught that if you don't have nothing to say, don't say nothing at all. And so I live by that. And I think sometimes that with all of this oversaturation of information, so much going on geopolitically, domestically, climatically, environmentally, is that there has to be some time for critical reflection. There has to be moments made specifically to be reflexive about what's going on with you, yours, around you, and the world. And sometimes when I get into those meditative, contemplative um, moments, I really relish in it. I don't get out of it for no reason. Um, it's important to live. I was listening to Lauryn Hill right after she created um, with her team the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And I think a question was posed on why she hasn't put out another album. This was like a year or two, a few years after the miseducation. And she expressed that she tried to, that she went into the studio. There was pressure, social, institutional, material, and family pressure for her to put out another album to complement the miseducation, which is a golden album according to my own opinion. It's just that, like she said, just the creation in the silo, creating in a vacuum is, yes, you can do it and it's possible, but it's not layered with any lived experience, especially if the living has been put on hold. And so I found that very profound. And we all know the story. You know, Lauryn Hill, really, she took an hiatus physically, spiritually, emotionally. And I think the next time we saw her, she was doing an unplugged, a live album of new music. And I feel like that a lot of the times is that I don't always have the bandwidth, the wherewithal to continuously be vulnerable and intimate about what's going on. And so sometimes I can sit a little long in these different stages of thought and reflection and meditation. And so I do thank you all for your patience. And I just wanted to be very honest about where I am and honest about how I am, because as we move forward together, I need you too to also be very um, very, very self-centered when it comes down to protecting your space, your peace, and to also help you and have those very critical quiet moments to ensure that you are fully grasping the multitude, the severities, the depths of reality. Because once reality becomes distorted and you become out of touch with reality, that breeds insanity. And we don't want that. That has affected so many of us on so many different levels. So take those quiet moments. You're not missing nothing. And I keep reminding myself that I'm not missing anything. I am living and I'm living and I am doing my soul, my spirit, major justice by resting, recentering, realigning, regrouping, and then coming back transformed and ready to go. So much things to say, right? So much things to say. As a father, I have learned a great deal about what it means to take on this very sacred role of being dad, of being a present, active, immersive, and interactive dad. And one of many of the lessons is that your children are the mirror to your healing, to your transformation, to your growth. Your children are brought, chose to be in your life because of a particular lesson or a particular karmic value or what have you that you must encounter and you must address. Now, they're not solely here for that purpose. They have their own destiny. And sometimes their destiny can be interconnected with the parent. And what I'm learning with my children is that they are here to guide me. They are here to help me heal. They're here to give me the permission to look at the little boy, the little wounded boy who still is seeking validation and comfort and love and a voice. And they're helping me tend to it layer by layer. And the very, the beautiful thing about coming to terms with wounds of the past, present, and future is that even though you may have went through the work, and believe me, I have went through so much work to heal my little boy wounds, more stuff comes up. And I'll just give you some themes. I'll give you three themes: guilt, resentment, shame. And the undertone is abandonment. And so it comes up all the time with my son, with my daughter, with my youngest. And they constantly hold the mirror up for me to look at myself, to fully see myself, and to really capture in real time the different the different things that are affecting my peace and my harmony, our peace and our harmony. And that's been a great joy. It's painful at times because I do feel a bit foolish. Here I am maturing and ascending spiritually and constantly reworking myself, my identity, my self concept, elevating consciousness. And that little boy is still crying out for support and help, a hug. But I don't ignore it. I don't. My daughter helps me all the time to really name it, name the emotion, name it and claim it. My oldest son, he he teaches me how to integrate and incorporate play and not to be so serious. And my youngest teaches me the importance and the power of having self-trust, self-belief, and self-courage. And so all three of them, they give me the vitality to really push forward. All the traumas of the past, present, and future, the adversities, the pain, um, the suffering that I've endured, they've helped me to transform that and repackage it and reintegrate it into my total being, into my total self, because it is a part of me. It is a part of me. And I don't want to run from that. I don't want to run from the darkness. I don't. I want to bring it with me because light can still penetrate dark, and dark needs light. They're complementary. I need it. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it. And, that made me think about just how we are in very dark, chaotic, and unpredictable times. Fires, protests, job strikes, corruption, health insurances are still um, exploiting the worker class and the low income folks. Indigenous communities still trying to um, amplify their voice, their perspective, their knowledge base in intellectual circles and scientific and academic circles. Flooding, civil wars, proxy wars, the list goes on. We are encircled with geopolitical, economic, social, psychological warfare. So we have to know where it is and where it is that we seek meaning that alleviates the distress and the disharmony and the discontinuity. We need to understand what it is that keeps us grounded and organized and level-headed. My children has definitely taught me a great deal about honoring history, respecting history, seeking lessons, best practices from history. And when you are about enhancing your power psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, etc., then you become a servant to the different symbols that bring meaning into your life. And again, my children are symbols to me. They are very much human beings, but they are also a symbolic representation of divine consciousness, of spirit. And because of that, they are my little guiders, my little navigators, my little compasses, especially when I'm off kilter. And there's so many people being affected right now. Collective grief, pain, suffering, trauma, you name it. And the liberation in all of that is not the government. The liberation is not the different agencies, departments, offices of the government of any level, state, local, federal. It's not humanitarian aid organizations. The liberation is and always will be with the people because a revolution is enduring. There's a permanence when it comes to to a revolution. And we must understand that the true power is our attitudes towards each other, towards the world, towards our reality. And the true um, measure, the true measure of one's solidarity, cohesiveness, organization, social organization, is their degree of consciousness. And that's what we're seeing in Los Angeles with the protesting and the, the community members coming together, sounding the alarm when ICE is coming through, preventing ICE from getting through the city, from getting to their destination. They are really highlighting and spotlighting the 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 federally sanctioned political warfare on people of culture. And so it's right there in front of us, showing what it looks like when we no longer want to live under the veil of Eurocentric perspective and Eurocentric ideology. When we look at our children and we look at our community members, our neighbors, our those we never connected with socially, and we say our humanity is shared. What happens to you directly or indirectly is an effect to me and mine. And that approach, that perspective, that relational centeredness is the centrality to amassing power against wickedness and corruption. I just saw I just spoke to people who are on a labor strike, and that here at the local Safeway, and it was the same type of vibe, and they are very much, yes, it's about them and their conditions and how they are not being treated fairly and how their compensation packages are being um, changed for the worse, and those with pensions are um, who have to work longer, been there for 30 plus years, and the contribution to the pensions are decreasing. So many different things that is affecting their livelihood. They looking left, looking right, looking across the state, and they're seeing the symbols plain as day that is informing that their situation is just one piece of a bigger and broader situation. They're looking at their fellow employees, their friends, their community members, and you're seeing a mixed reality. Some don't really care or notice the pain and the hurt, the exploitation. And then you have a lot who do, and they're willing to do something about it because they believe in justice and believe in the fully um, and fully respecting and fully honoring humanity. So much things to say. Now, as we approach this critical hour, half hour of being with each other, I just want to remind you that your experience, your history shapes your psychology. It shapes your personality. It shapes your culture, and it shapes your consciousness. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how much it has created shame and doubt and fear, your survival, your survival reflects your history, your circumstances, and your experience. Find ways to transform that into a palatable, digestible way that will feed your identity and your self-concept. I want to leave you all with this. Um, I'm reading this book, The Falsification of African Consciousness, by Dr. Brother Amos Wilson, rest in power. And there's this part of the book that really touches the depths of my spirit and really stirs my soul. And he says, we must understand the tremendous value of the study of history for the regaining of power. If our education is not about gaining real power, we are being miseducated and misled, and we will die educated and misled. And he's not only just talking about Black history, Indigenous history, European history. He's also talking about your lived experience, personal history. Regain your power, regain your sense of reality, regain your sense of control over your consciousness and over how you move forward in advancing and promoting your interests and your needs. It's been real. Thank you so much for this. I'm Brother Kyle, and this is Gracefully Imperfect. Peace, love, and blessings in abundance.